Do you want to grow massive shoulders like this? In this video, I talk about the best shoulder exercises specifically designed for stretch-mediated hypertrophy. Now I guarantee you this, these exercises will help you push past your limits and help you achieve those massive 3D delts you've been dreaming of in 2024. Before selecting any exercise for your shoulders, ask yourself these questions. Does this exercise load your shoulder in the Linden position? Is this exercise stable enough to only work on your shoulders? Do you feel any joint pain while doing this exercise? Do you feel crazy pump after doing this exercise? Also, are you able to overload your shoulders weeks in and weeks out using that exercise? The first exercise is lean in cable lateral raise. For execution, instead of pulling the cable from the dead stop, try raising the pulley to the wrist height. This ensures that your medial head is being stretched even before you initiate the movement and keeps the tension throughout the range of motion. Now, lean in and brace against the support and then initiate the movement all the way up and back. The pro tip is to use handcuffs during these movements. I recently used these handcuffs and it not only increased my mind-muscle connection but also skyrocketed my gains. I highly recommend these. Check out the link below for details. Comparing this exercise with standing dumbbell raise. Standing dumbbell raise is a fine exercise, but this exercise suffers because of lack of stability. And as you perform higher repetitions, your back becomes the limiting factor instead of your shoulders. Also, this exercise is easier at the bottom range of motion, and it gets tough as you get into the contracted position. In order for an exercise to be considered a best shoulder exercise, it has to be difficult and must be loaded in the stretched position. The cable lateral raise, however, not only provides the needed stretch in the loaded position but also ensures consistent tension throughout the range of motion. And that's why it's our clear winner. For bench lateral raises, make sure you set up your bench at an angle of 60 degrees and then lower the weight slowly until your arms reach behind your shoulders. This will again ensure maximum stretch in the Linden position. Next is machine shoulder press. Let me be honest with you, not all shoulder press machines are designed to provide you the bigger stretch, but you can increase the stretch by either setting up your seat to the highest point or by adding extra elevation. Remember, more the elevation, more the stretch. An equally good substitute is a seated barbell press done on a Smith machine. The seated Smith machine press allows you the ability to reach close to failure with safety because of the ability for you to rack the bar when you're close to failure. You're also easily able to overload week to week because of the ability to add small weights over time. I think the only annoying thing about this exercise is the setup. You have to make sure that you place your bench not too far away from the bar that the bar touches the lower chest, and also not too close that the bar touches your forehead or nose. You need to make sure that the bar touches the upper clavicle, and there's a lot of trial and error you need to do before making sure that it lands on a perfect spot. Seated dumbbell press, on the other hand, provides slightly greater range of motion compared to seated barbell presses and also greater freedom of movement of the wrists. However, unlike barbell presses where you can increase the weight little by little, dumbbell presses does not allow you to do linear progression. Also, shoulder presses may become unsafe as you do progressive overload because as the weight go higher, it becomes harder to control the weights that may lead to joint pain in the long run. Next is dumbbell raise done on inclined bench. Now this is probably the most stretch promoting dumbbell exercise for front delts. For the setup, raise your bench up to 60 degrees angle and lift your both arms up until your forehead and slowly lower the weights up until your arms are behind your shoulders. If you compare this exercise with the standard dumbbell raises or plate raises, both of these exercises put a lot of strain on your lower back, especially when you try to lift the weights up. Supported front dumbbell raises, however, there's no way you can cheat because your back is up against the bench and the only muscle groups that are being hammered are your front delts. One of the best exercises to completely smash your rear delts is the reverse cable fly done with both hands. Now, in order to perform this exercise to the best of your ability, you need to remember these key points. Step number one is to make sure that you take out any attachment from both cables. Now grab both of these pulleys with opposite hands, take a step back, keep your chest up. Now while maintaining a staggered stance, pull both cables apart while squeezing your shoulder blades together. Now the key is to not just stop there, but keep pulling both cables apart until both of your arms are behind your shoulders. This will increase the range of motion your delts will go through while being in a stretched position. As you release the cables, make sure that you do not cut short your range of motion and extend your arms all the way forward. You may have to lean forward a little bit in order to get those rear delts fired up under the stretch. Another fine alternative is a Packtech Fly machine. Set up your seat to a height that perfectly aligns with your shoulder joints. I personally feel like keeping the bend 3 notches down perfectly aligns with my shoulders, and that definitely requires some trial and error. Now, 2 key points here. Sit back slightly on the bench, lean in with the chest on top of the pad. This will engage and pre-stretch your rear delts. Now bring both handles to the sides up until your arms are behind your shoulders. Squeeze both shoulder blades together, pause for a second, and then release. While initiating the movement, think about pulling the handles apart using an arc motion. This motion is somewhat similar to when you try to swim and you push the water back. That's the biggest cue that I have been using successfully on this exercise. Now you may also want to do it one hand at a time, especially if you have rear delts imbalances. What you need to do is to grab the equipment with one hand and grab a handle with the other hand. Twist yourself a little bit until you feel a stretch in your rear delts and then perform the movement. I feel like doing one hand at a time, my rear delts experience better stretch, and also the argument that it is time inefficient is not valid, because you can ensure that you do it one hand at a time without taking any rest and do it with the other hand back to back. Now, as always, the bonus tip. As soon as you get close to exhaustion on the final set, make sure you crank out the partial repetitions to make sure that you're not leaving any gains on the table. Following these exercises will definitely get you huge delts in about few weeks. This will make you look broader, but what if you have bigger arms? That will clearly differentiate you as you walk in the room compared to others. So if you want to check out my arm transformation, check out this video next, and I'll see you next week.